Hi there, Will Rice with the Tips team bringing you another after school special. Today we have an AI related topic. We'll be talking about Dalle 2.0, a realistic image and art AI generation tool. Dalle is another AI lab from OpenAI. They're creators of the popular ChatGPT AI engine that you might be familiar with from media or even students talking about it. Whereas ChatGPT uses natural language and large text databases to create text responses, Dalle is a different type of AI. It uses visual AI and image databases from around the internet to generate images and art from a description provided by the user's text input. It then generates an image based on all that information for you. You can even upload an image and ask it to create variations on that image using that AI engine. We're going to jump right into Dalle and take a look and see what it can do. Simply searching for Dalle 2 will get you to the OpenAI website where you can go ahead and try Dalle. It will ask you to log in, and we'll talk a little bit about the considerations of logging into third-party apps in a minute. But for now, I've already logged in and I'm ready to go. So you're brought to a simple search box that will allow you to ask Dalle to generate an image. It can do a number of things, all the way from paintings to photorealistic images. Let's look for a tree on a beach photo. One of the things you're going to learn about Dalle is that it is very popular. And at parts of the day, like the middle of the day when I'm making this video, it will likely present a number of errors, just saying that the server is overloaded. So if you're counting on this as part of an interactive lesson, it likely is not going to work all of the time. You can continue clicking on generate to see if it will eventually go through, but in my experience during the school day, the odds of this are quite low. Even though you'll think it starts to go, it'll just throw an error again. Maybe we'll get lucky here. Let's take a look. Oh, there we go. So in this case, I asked it to produce a picture of a tree on a beach, and it did a really great job. Dalle is exceptionally good with landscapes, images of still things that don't move, such as trees, but not as good with other things such as people and moving objects. However, as we can see here, it did a pretty good job. What's really interesting about this is each of these images is completely unique and has never existed before I prompted the AI engine to generate it. So this might be useful if I'm looking for a picture to add to a slideshow and I'm not finding what I want, or just as an experience to see what AI thinks something should look like. If I find an image that I like, but perhaps I'd like it to be a little different, I have an option. I can mouse over the three dots and select Generate Variations. What it will do is now, in this case, it did not work because it's overloaded, but what it will try and do is create a number of images closer to that image than the other ones. So you can actually have it create some variations on an image. I'll show you that in a second. What's nice about Dalle as well is it keeps track of all of your history of searches, and you can even go back into your history and take a look at the images you've generated in the past. They're all saved for you. So there are those tree images that I just made. So if I wanted the variation and I wanted to try again later, I could simply visit that image and go ahead and click Generate Variations, and it'll again attempt again. So maybe I can try again later in the day when the server isn't overloaded. It's also nice to be able to come back to your history and see what you've created. It also can present art, not just images, in photo styles. So for example, here's an image. I asked it to do a pencil drawing of a funny monster, and this is what it created. If I would like to use that as clip art, I can go ahead and download that and use it, making sure to give an OpenAI attribution and let everybody know that it was AI generated. But then I could even come in here and generate variations to have a set of images that are similar but different, that might be really useful depending on the type of presentation or work that you're working on. You can also go ahead and ask it to take a picture. In this case, I asked it to make a painting of an Edmonton Public Schools building in the style of Van Gogh, and it did a really nice job of creating an image from there. So you can see that, that there's quite a bit of work here that can be done taking images and making new, unique images with AI. Lastly, you can actually upload an image. So if I come back to Dolly, you'll notice here that I can click on upload an image, and it will prompt me to pick an image and upload it. I can then crop the image, do some basic editing, or more importantly, ask the AI engine to look at my picture and then generate variations of that picture using its AI engine. This one here, anytime you ask it to work with photos or make photorealistic images, it does tend to fail more often because I think it takes more resources, but I've already generated a few. So I took a picture of my daughter's ski racing. Here's the original. And I asked it to make some variations. Didn't give it any other directions, just said create variations. And as you can see, it made, several of them that are quite artistic and quite nice. I actually really like this one. So perhaps it's something that you might want to be able to take an image you've taken and make it into something more artistic for the classroom. There are some privacy concerns with uploading images of students to a service like this. So make sure that you follow those third-party processes for all apps, but we'll talk about that in a second. So you might be asking yourself, where would I use this? Well, an easy one for teachers is for creating content to add to presentations. Perhaps you can't quite find a picture or of something that you're looking for. Maybe you want some art exemplars like finger paintings of cats, and you don't want to use one off the internet. You just want to something unique just for you and your students to share with them. Could do something like that. Maybe you want a unique picture that you can't find for clip art. Things like that. I could also see it being used, at the older grades to perhaps have a conversation around AI and ownership of information, and what does it mean when you work with AI to create artwork, much like these pictures of my daughter here that I generated. So all things that I could see it being used for in the class, but as professionals, all these resources are always things that we're evaluating continuously to see where they might fit into our classroom. So there are some considerations, and we saw a number of them in that presentation. Number one, it's often busy during the school day. So you may want to use this outside of the school day in order to make sure you have those images when you need them. It will allow you only so many images per month without paying. So there is a premium model that you would pay for, but it's for just playing and taking a look at it and evaluating it. It certainly has enough free images to create there for you. The system does filter for inappropriate content the best that it can, so it won't generate images if you ask for certain types of content. However, sometimes I've noticed that it does not do a great job with animals and people. So the people might have faces that are a little smeary and the animals might be not really great. So I think it's really important that if you're going to use these images in class, you maybe generate them ahead and check that they're appropriate for your students so that the students are, don't see anything that maybe is a little bit disturbing, and not in an inappropriate way, but just, like it looks like a picture, but it's not quite. And that sort of uncanny valley of, is it real or is it not, can be a bit off-putting for some users. Finally, as all third-party apps, you do have to really consider the privacy considerations for student use. If you are going to use this with students, you would need to go through the third-party app process to ensure that you have the correct documentation and FOIP permissions in place for those students. OpenAI itself says that students must be 13 years of age, so for our younger students, it's just a no-go at this time. And lastly, if you or your students are going to be uploading images to create those variations, you need to really read through those data usage information pieces for the app and make sure you know exactly what you and your students are doing and what you're uploading, because once you've uploaded personal images of a student, maybe some identifiable content, you want to make sure that they can be removed and forgotten and not just added to a database. As always, if you have more questions, reach out to your TIPS member for your school. They can talk a little bit more about this with you. You can check back here for more weekly videos. I know we have a video up last week on ChatGPT specifically, so you might want to go back and take a look at that if you haven't yet. And subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of them. For more resources, or to find out who your TIPS member is, you can always skip back to tips.epsb.ca and take a look at all that resources and information we have available for you there.